Hi there, this is Solitude Ronin from Solitude Ronin Films, and welcome to another director battle. Today's battle is John Carpenter against Howard Hawks. Now, it might seem a bit of an odd pairing, but they do have things in common. John Carpenter has cited Howard Hawks as probably his biggest influence, and John Carpenter lead characters are pretty much Hawks lead characters, as far as keeping their heads calm when everybody else around them is losing theirs, having great dialogue. Both directors did various genres of films. Obviously Howard Hawks did westerns that John Carpenter didn't do, even though one of his later films is pretty much a western, it's just a different genre. So Howard Hawks is really influential in Carpenter's work. They obviously both did their own versions of Who Goes There, the short story by Joseph Campbell that originally Hawks produced. Christian Nyby, the film editor, directed it in 1951 as A Thing from Another World, and then Carpenter didn't really remake it, more reimagined it in 1982, which is one of those films that is in the argument for my favourite film of all time. So let's see how this plays out. Again, perhaps on paper an unusual pairing, but there are similarities considering Carpenter essentially remade one of Hawks' westerns again in a different genre. So I'm just going to go through some of the titles I have. This is Prince of Darkness, and here's Scream Factory, Prince of Darkness. These are Carpenter films I'm going to start with, just in case you thought Howard Hawks did Prince of Darkness. Then Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which doesn't quite work. And Starman, proving Carpenter could do PG things. Dark Star, Carpenter's student film that became his first feature, his response to Kubrick's 2001. Vampires, which is essentially just a western, but it just so happens to be with vampires. Ghosts of Mars, which is pretty much just a western, it just happens to be on Mars. Halloween, which I'm not a huge fan of, but obviously for years and years and years it was the highest grossing independent film of all time, and obviously spawned, I think we're up to now 3,200 imitators. Escape from LA, which as far as I know has spawned no imitators, even though I think Carpenter recently said there might be 2 more films featuring Snake Plissken. In the Mouth of Madness, probably Carpenter's most underrated film, I think. They Live, which is absolutely wonderful. They Live on the Scream Factory. Assault on Precinct 13, which is essentially Rio Bravo by Hawks, even though because of John Wayne I actually prefer Assault on Precinct 13. And here's Assault on Precinct 13 on Scream Factory. Escape from New York. The President's been kidnapped. The President of what? Here's Escape from New York and Scream Factory with slipcover. Here's Escape from New York, Scream Factory without the slipcover. It's a long story. The Fog in Scream Factory. The Fog on Scream Factory Steelbook. Someone's Watching Me, his TV movie about a stalker, which is actually very good. The Thing, this is an Italian Blu-ray. I'm not going to get my 14 different editions of The Thing out, that would be ridiculous. But here's a lovely big German edition with lots of goodies in it. Again, The Thing might be in the argument for my favourite film of all time. It's just so wonderful. So that's Carpenter's. I haven't got Elvis, the movie, with Kurt Russell, and I haven't got The Ward with Amber Heard, Carpenter's last film. Now obviously Howard Hawks I have not seen. I've maybe only seen like 50% of his films, if that. Obviously the westerns he made with John Wayne are good films, but I refuse to have them in the house. But Indicator have a couple of these early ones, The Criminal Code with Oliver Houston, which is really good. And then 20th Century, which is absolutely wonderful, John Barrymore and Carol Lombard from 1934, which is a proto-screwball. The aforementioned Thing from Another World, which Howard Hawks produced, didn't direct, of course. That was Christian Nyby. The Big Sleep with Bogart and Bacall, which is just about perfect. To Have and Have Not with Bogart and Bacall, which is absolutely wonderful. The original Scarface, which, I mean, you can see by the BBFC in the UK, it's still a 15. And this was made in what, 1932, and it's still a 15 certificate. It's actually pretty amazing watching it, how transgressive it is and how brutal it is. Obviously this is pre-Hays Code, because the Hays Code came in about 1934. It's an absolutely blistering film and obviously hugely influential. His Girl Friday, which again is just about perfect. Obviously Bringing Up Baby is coming hopefully in the next couple of days to me on Criterion Region B. It's already been out on Criterion Blu-ray Region A for a few weeks, and that's one of those holy grail films that we were hoping for years to get onto Blu-ray, and now it's just about here. And Only Angels Have Wings with Cary Grant, and an unusual performance as Cary Grant because he is playing a bit of a swine, but again it's a wonderful Hawksian main character. So I have seen other ones. Obviously I have Land of the Pharaohs, which I did a video on, one of his rare box office duds, even though there's a lot of pleasure to be had as, with Jack Hawkins as a pharaoh and Joan Collins as a scheming emissary who becomes his wife. So both directors, yes, John Carpenter is obviously known for horror because of Halloween, but he did a lot of different kind of genres, and Howard Hawks did just about everything. Again, it's one of those things that obviously John Carpenter with The Thing, it's one of my favourite films of all time because I do have a thing about The Thing. And again, if you'd asked me 20 years ago, this would have been a John Carpenter victory, but I do find now over time some of those Carpenter films, you can see the kind of flaws in them a bit more than perhaps he did when you were much younger. He still has an impressive canon, but they're of a certain type of film. Whereas Hawks has so many films of high quality, of different styles, from screwball and gangster and westerns and science fiction and crime, that I think I would have to go for Hawks, even though I haven't seen all of his films. But what I have, I would say for me, Hawks probably has my vote, not that that matters. So leave comments in the comments section, strangely enough, about who your favourite is between Carpenter and Howard Hawks, one of which was heavily influenced by the other one. And hopefully I look forward to reading them, and hopefully you'll join me again for more director battles. I think we only have 3 left. So thanks so much for watching Carpenter Hawks, and hopefully you'll join me for more. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying cheerio.